excited to be here. I am a major ed tech enthusiast. I love how using the right technology can really make the walls of your classroom disappear, or in my case, the walls of my house, because I am currently teaching from home. I don't know if any of you are doing the same. Um, but I am really passionate about EdTech and Edulastic in particular. I absolutely love what this platform offers and the fact that it is such a blank slate. You can really use it for so many different ways and in so many different ways in your classroom once you start to play along around with it. So one of the things that I'm going to be focusing on today is how to use Edulastic to connect with your students. Good, for the next slide. Okay. So these are some things that were really kind of plaguing me during our switch to remote. So I'm not sure, I'm sure none of the rest of you have this problem, but I have a lot of no-shows to class, especially on test days. It's so funny how that happens. Like, it can be a student who is there all the time, and then every test day they don't show up to my class. It's the weirdest thing. But I have these frequent no-shows who don't come up anytime they're supposed to make a or take a test or make up that test that they missed. They don't come to class. So eventually, we always go down the path of trying to take it together, and then we settle on they can take it on their own at home. But then I'm getting emails for help at 2 in the morning when I am fast asleep, and I won't be answering those emails. I also have the students where, I pop into their individual breakout rooms. I ask them if they need any help. No, I got it. We're good. I watch Edulastic. I see them struggling with questions. I come in and say, hey, let's work through this together. No, 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 I'm fine. And then they end up with a low score on the test. For some students, I feel like there is a lot more pressure talking to a teacher virtually and unmuting themselves on Zoom or Google Meets or the platform that your district is using versus in the classroom when they can just raise their hand or you're sitting right next to them and can point to things on their paper. I get incomplete assessments, so students who would take one or two questions during the class time would really take their time, and then low test scores. And then responses of IDK. That is like my biggest pet peeve. They'll complete the whole test and I get I don't knows in all of their short answer questions. Requests for help that are really broad and don't have a specific focus. What don't you get? Well, I don't get any of it. I have no idea how to do this. And then it's like, okay, I don't know how to start. Like, where do you want me to start reteaching the past month of material to you? I'd love a little bit more information so we can really target where your problem areas are. And then I also get the why is this wrong? Like that I think we've all had those students who come at you like really accusatory, like you have no idea what your subject is when they get their test answers back. So if any of this sounds familiar to you, I have really good news. Edulastic can absolutely help you with that. And I have used this in my own classroom on Edulastic, with Edulastic. I'm sorry, I think I'm nervous. I can't talk. Um, but with using this in Edulastic, it really helps solve these problems. And there are specific ways you can do this. One of the things I think I know I miss the most, and many of you probably miss the most, is that connection with your students. And how do we do that if students are taking tests asynchronously, if students are not showing up to class when they do this? So Edulastic is a fantastic tool, and I hope that from this part of the presentation, you get a couple of tips that you can use to help make those connections outside of a physical classroom with your students. Can move on. Okay. So while the student is taking the assessment, there are a few tools that you can use in order to help reduce student anxiety for taking tests, boost their confidence, and remove that barrier to asking for help, like I just spoke about earlier. Sometimes it really is difficult for kids to ask for help on the computer. The first one is check answer. When you are assigning your test, you have the ability to allow students to check their answers. This obviously isn't going to be perfect for every question type. If you have a short answer question or a drawing question, that's not going to be something where a check answer is going to be particularly helpful. Other ones, though, like when they have a large matching section, can be really helpful for them. Another one that's really great is allowing multiple attempts. And to me, these two really work hand in hand. So when you allow multiple attempts, the student can take the assessment more than once. You can also provide feedback in between these test attempts, which is very important. I find that during this remote teaching time, I cannot overemphasize how important timely and meaningful feedback is to our students. When I use check, answer, allow multiple attempts, this really involved a little bit of a mind shift for me. So many times as a teacher, you give the assessment, it's like, oh no, I can't help you on that one. That, oh, you have to do this one on your own. But then I took a step back and I thought, why? Why does the student have to do this without help? Why can't we make this into a meaningful learning experience together? It's my job as a teacher to test at one moment of time, do you know this, yes or no? If they don't, they move on never learning it. Or should I be giving them opportunity to revise their thinking and learn those concepts, dive into those concepts during the taking of an assessment? Is it ideal for the students to be learning this and going deep into it for the very first time when they take their unit assessment? Of course not. However, um, to me, it's much more important that that student gains that skill, they gain that understanding, and they're able to move forward. And not just that, it also helps build that relationship between you and the student. You don't get any of those comments like, oh, she wants me to fail. She fails everybody. I mean, I still probably get those behind my back, but the students see that you want them to succeed. And that is so important for our students to know that you are in their corner and you want to do anything in your power to help them succeed. When you allow them to check their answer, and I don't give them limitless answer checks, I give them one, maybe two on certain assessments, but um, you get some major cool points like, oh my god, they feel like they're cheating, they feel like they're getting away with something, and it helps build their confidence because they know, okay, when I take this, I might get it wrong on my first attempt, but then I get another try. It's not one and done. It's not where I move through the test, I hit submit, and I have that horrible pit in the feeling of my stomach where I don't know what my score is going to be and I think I failed it. They have some ability to revise their thinking as well as a kind of signal to them like, hey, I've already tried this. I got it wrong. I don't know why I got it wrong. I should ask my teacher. So they get that cue as well. Both those things, check, answer, and allow multiple attempts. You can find when you assign your test. You can also go into your override settings when you are assigning your test and click on those drop downs to use them for a practice assessment or a common assessment. You have those options available to you. I also really like using the hints, and these are put in question by question as you are designing your test. One of the ways I like to give hints are by using screencasts. So I'll record either on Zoom or using a program like Screencastify, and I will give them some hints. Sometimes this can be as quick as like, do you remember when in class we did this? Or show them models or show them a little bit of data from an experiment we did together or a simulation that we went through together. Or even sometimes I can just like hold up something and point to it, and that might help them be able to answer that question with confidence. So I highly recommend using a screencasting tool when you do this. Typing it is great, but not all of our learners do a great job with reading written text. I know whenever I give out directions, I can name, 20% of my class right off the bat who aren't going to read them. When you have a video where a student just has to sit and watch, not only are they getting that connection with you, even asynchronously, even though you're not actually sitting there talking to them in real time, they're seeing your face, they're hearing your voice, and it's making that connection with them, even though you're not in the room with them. So these are my favorite teacher tools as far as while the student is actively taking the assessment. They really help for empowering our students to do their best, as well as giving them some cues for when they need to get help from me directly. And then after the student has completed the assessment, obviously completing the assessment is one thing, but giving that meaningful, personal, and actionable feedback to our students so that they can grow and learn from their mistakes is so important. Many of you have seen when you have designed questions on Edulastic that they have an option for a solution. I will put the solution in so that when I reuse questions, I am able to take out any screencasts I've made or any common feedback that I've been giving students, and I can copy and paste that in instead of trying to find it year after year. So this way it's not reinventing the wheel. I don't have to make new screencasts and new information for students every time I do it. I have that built into my solution right there. And the reason I say this is because I often give question-specific feedback to my students. Like we've talked about, that feedback that's meaningful to students is very important, especially in these remote settings. And when I can give question specific feedback to them about what to work on, and when it's in a video format, when they can watch me do a Punnett square, they can watch me, like Tina was showing us, put the electrons on a Bohr model. When they can see that happening and they have me talking them through it step by step, it makes it a lot easier for them. Sometimes my question specific feedback directly answers the question on the test. Sometimes my question specific feedback answers a similar question because I want my students to do test corrections or an additional attempt afterwards. So depending on how I want to use it, sometimes I alter my question specific feedback and what that looks like. I also make sure to give overall assessment feedback. Now, this is not one that I copy and paste. This is one that I make individually for each student. Um, with that being said, I think I could feel half of you just kind of like close up on yourselves and recoil in horror at the idea of recording all of those different screencasts. However, I will tell you, if you are giving detailed feedback, like let's say there was a lot of modeling on your test, or your students designed an experiment to test something on your assessment, you might want to give a lot of feedback on it. And for me, you probably heard my rate of speech, my talking is way faster than my typing. So once you get into the groove of making these screencasts, you can quickly take that link and pop that in there for their overall assessment feedback. And then they can watch a video and hear you talking to them, telling them what you think they did really well, what to improve on, and giving them really targeted, specific feedback in a meaningful way. When you make the screencast for each individual student on that overall assessment feedback, you are telling them that they matter enough to you that you're going to take some time out and talk to them specifically. This wasn't copy pasted. This wasn't something that you said to everyone. This is just for them. So that is something that's really important to me. And again, I know that some of you are saying I don't have the time. Totally get that. At this point, I have class sizes of several class sizes right now above 50. So I am right there struggling with you. We're in the trenches together, and I completely understand the overwhelming feeling that a lot of us have when we are trying to grade all of these assessments. I will tell you that in the beginning, when you first start these screencasts and these little recordings, it will seem like it's taking you more time. Once you get fast with them, and honestly, once you stop caring about when you say things that make you sound weird, or when you're trying to end it and instead you make this face while you're searching around for it, once you stop caring about that, oh, it goes so fast. It is easy. Copy the link, paste it in, move on to the next student, but it's meaningful to them. So I think I've already gone over my time, but these are things that I am really passionate about. I would love to talk to you more about them. If you have any questions about how to do this, please let me know. We can do a walkthrough if that's something you'd be interested in. But those are some of my hot tips for how I use Edulastic in my classroom. I hope it was helpful.